For me and many others, the language was different. The response was not remediation, it was assurance. You're doing well. It's okay. Attendance and behaviour became the measures of success, not mastery. No one said, you need to catch up, so keep going, do more, put in more effort. The system adjusted instead, lowering the demand, slowing the pace, and redefining success, my success. This is how expectations operate in practice, through the way systems are configured, governed, and allowed default. One of the most damaging consequences of low expectations is not only what they do to outcomes, it's what they do to identity. Too often, Indigenous identity is treated as finite and divisible, as though achievement dilutes authenticity. If you are cultural, you are not academic. You're not a true blackfella if you have a degree. If you succeed in mainstream institutions, you are somehow less Indigenous. If you lead, you have somehow stepped away from your people. This is wrong. We, our people, are not singular, and our identities are not fractional. We are not a percentage Indigenous. We are layered. Culture, language, kinship, country are foundational. They are not diminished by education, work, or leadership. They hold everything else. On that foundation, life adds layers, not in parts, but in full. I'm a daughter, wholly 100%, not 50% of me. I'm a mother, wholly 100%, not 25% of me. I'm a CEO, wholly 100%, not 30% of the time. I am both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, wholly. It's another layer of me. None of these layers subtract from the others. Each was built over time because opportunity made it possible. Low expectations flatten identity. Opportunity allows identity to grow. Years later, working in Cape York, I recognised the same pattern playing out at scale. Parents were sending their children to school, attendance improved, families were doing what was asked. But classrooms did not convert attendance into learning. Children moved through year levels without mastering literacy or numeracy. By high school, many are disengaged entirely. This was not about effort or values. This was about a system that accepted Indigenous educational failure as normal. It was about a system that tolerated failure and had no accountability mechanism to correct it. That is the status quo. Australia's welfare state works reasonably well when disadvantage is temporary, cushioning short-term shocks such as job loss or illness, and supporting re-entry into the work where labour markets are functioning and accessible. But for others, it traps them in permanent underclass, where labour markets are thin, absent or inaccessible. Whether in remote regions or in other parts of our cities, welfare becomes a long-term substitute for opportunity rather than a bridge back to it. Passive welfare becomes a mechanism for managing exclusion rather than ending it. People are asked to take responsibility in systems that do not connect effort to opportunity. Australia's model of a welfare state has created what we refer to as the bottom million of Australians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, for whom poverty, unemployment and exclusion are not temporary, but inherited. About half are our people, First Nations people. The other half are non-Indigenous and other migrants who unemployment and poverty have also become intergenerational. What they share is not culture. It is class-based structural exclusion. This is why the bottom million is not only a remote story. In parts of Western Sydney, Melbourne's outer suburbs and regional towns, labour markets exist, but access to them does not. Jobs are there, but pathways are broken. Credentials are required, but never built. Responsibility is demanded, but opportunity is not accessible. The result is the same exclusion, just closer to the city. Here is the cruel and diabolical contradiction at its core. Unemployment and poverty at the bottom are not policy failures. They are this country's policy mechanisms. Politicians insist on dignity of work while designing an economy that requires a permanent buffer of unemployed people to stabilise prices and wages. That buffer is about 5% unemployment that is tolerated. We are half of that. Responsibility is demanded, but opportunity is rationed. The costs are borne by the same families, generations after generations. This contradiction cannot be managed away. It must be corrected. This contradiction produces and is produced by the opportunity gap, the gap between what people are asked to do and what the system enables them to achieve. In Cape York, life expectancy is 30 years shorter. Year 12 completion is almost non-existent. It's less than 5%. Indigenous joblessness exceeds 80% in most communities. Opportunity is missing across education, jobs, homes, health, income. Cape York has not stood by. We've looked to great thinking and success in other parts of the world, and we've learnt some lessons. From Amartya Sen, we learned that intergenerational poverty and disadvantage requires building of capability to take up opportunity. From Singapore, we've learned that structural supported opportunities, education, savings, assets changes behaviours across generations. From America's GI Bill, we've learned that guaranteed opportunity can rebuild a nation. And from the Freedom Budget, we've learned that entrenched poverty requires a universal class focus, not race, and time-bound commitment. From this intellectual lineage came the Cape York Partnerships Group theory of change. Responsibility plus opportunity equals capability. Responsibility without opportunity is despair. Opportunity without responsibility is passivity. Together, sustained over time, they build capability. Our Cape York Leaders Program, the Family Responsibilities Commission, our opportunity products have proven the formula. When students orbit from their communities to high-quality schools in advantaged places, are supported, expected to achieve, given pathways beyond school, Year 12 completion exceeds 90%. Not because these youngsters are exceptional, but because the system finally expected and supported them to succeed. We come to understand progress as a staircase. There is no elevator, no forklift of social justice lifting whole populations. Progress happens when families climb, step by step. Governments cannot climb those stairs for us, but governments must provide the stairs. For decades, crucial steps have been missing: health, education, housing, infrastructure, the foundations people need to stand on their own 2 feet. This logic leads to an opportunity economy. Not spray and pray programs, but structured, guaranteed opportunity where responsibility is met with supported opportunity with accountability for outcomes. We are not tinkering on the edges. We are proposing Australia's own freedom budget, the Personal Responsibility and Opportunity Act, a time-bound structural commitment to abolish entrenched poverty by guaranteeing opportunity. The PRO Act will guarantee education and work pathways as legal entitlements, link responsibility with opportunity through case-managed reform, support asset building, including home ownership. This is not a bigger welfare state. It is an opportunity economy. The PRO-Act is designed for one generation, 21 years. By mid-century 2050, a child born in Cape York will have the same chance to finish school, work, own a home and raise a family with the same basic opportunities as any other Australian. Our greatest lesson from Cape York that stands above all others: if you want to close the gap in one generation, you must get children to year 12 and you must get them there with real capability. Year 12 completion is the most powerful lever we have of changing life trajectories. When young people finish school, everything else becomes more likely. Further education and training, stable work, higher life earnings, better families, stronger families, better health, and a real chance to build assets. You, break the cycle. When they do not, disadvantage compounds quickly and predictably. Year 12 completion for us is not a target, it's the threshold. Think about what has to go right for a child to complete Year 12 with capability. It starts from birth with a healthy pregnancy, good food, a safe home, and drug-free incubation for a healthy brain. It continues in early childhood with language development, pre-literacy, happiness and safety, and stability. In primary school, with real and thorough literacy and numeracy, not time served. This is so critical. If a child cannot read benchmark by year 3, it is unlikely that they will ever catch up. In adolescence, with supported quality education, belonging, and adult authority. And finally, with a visible path beyond school that makes effort worth it. And when one of those stages fails, year 12 becomes fractured and unlikely. When all of them are present, year 12 becomes normal. Children do not suddenly disengage from school at year 10 or 11. If early development is weak, they start school behind the 8 ball. In primary school, does not build literacy and numeracy, confidence collapses. Catch-up is unlikely and disengagement is inevitable. This is why Year 12 cannot be treated as a standalone reform. It is the product of a sequence of opportunities delivered reliably from baby in the belly with a healthy, happy brain. Our Cape York Leaders Program is proof our youngsters are completing Year 12 graduation at a rate of 94%. It is because of this structured opportunity that catches kids up and supports them through secondary into further pathways. These young ones are outliers, the lucky few, because we are funded each year to support 30 out of 300 Cape York kids entering the system each year. We need year 12 completion to be normal, not the exception. The PRO-Act will convert opportunity from a nice-to-have offering into a legal entitlement. Under the Act, access to quality education pathways, school-to-work transitions, and asset-building opportunities is no longer dependent on location, funding cycles, or bureaucratic administrative discretion. If a family meets its responsibility, ensuring school attendance, engaging with case management, supporting learning, the system is obligated to deliver opportunity in return. This is the most important shift in the Act. It moves us from promises to guarantees, from aspiration to accountability. The Act is built around 6 life stage sequencing because capability compounds and failure at one stage weakens every stage that follows. The PRO-Act guarantees opportunity across 6 linked stages: early childhood foundations, primary schooling that delivers literacy and numeracy, secondary schooling through to year 12, a supported transition into work, training or further study, stable adult work and family formation, pathways to saving and home ownership. Each stage is designed to prepare for the next. No crucial opportunity is left to chance. This is how Year 12 completion becomes achievable at scale. Not through pressure at the end, but through support all the way through. When these opportunities are present and when families are supported to take responsibility, Year 12 completion stops being exceptional. It becomes normal. We say from Cape York to New York, grounded in family and home, able to orbit the world, carrying culture always. Our young people are already proving this is possible. You are proving this is possible. This is our freedom budget moment. The gap can close within one generation. For the love of our people. Yalada, thank you.
Yeah, now we'd like to open it up for questions. Yep. Microphone.
Hi, my name's Ali. I'm a proud Wemba Bunurong and Judgerong person. I especially heard you, sorry, I get so nervous. Okay, I especially heard you talking about like going into the education system and being put into a different category just because of you're Indigenous. Very much relate. But I wanted to ask more on coming from the side of, I come from a family that I am the first to get through my undergrad. Although it was frowned upon by my family, causing me to lose connection, just due to being seen as betraying mob, and getting an education was like making it look like I was better than them. As the only expectation was trade due to my black background. Although you brought up outsider expectations, what can be done to change internal mob expectations on the growth and opportunity for the next generation?
Yeah, beautiful. Relate to all of that. I finished year 10. Let's put this in context. I went and did a trade. I was marked by my family as being the light, as in you would go to university. But the system, I was stuck. I wasn't allowed to be put in different classes to learn. I stayed home and had to teach myself. And in fact, at year 10, a very good teacher said, you might want to tell your mum that you got ducks, but no one's giving it to you because you didn't attend school enough. And he told me that because my parents were always advocating for me to go through that system. It's the layering, and that's why I really want, when I'm talking to young people, when I'm talking out there to everyone about identity, I'm so proud that I am Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. And because of that, it's because of that layering that I want to be the best CEO, the best reform leader for my people, and the best of that. And I think the way that we do this is we talk about there's different ways to be successful. Mr. King talked to you about that today. It's real. And I think that we should raise the questions, and I appreciate courage to do that, because our family dynamics are different. And they come from a whole line of history. And for reasons that we might not understand at times, but as an adult I'm relearning my language, and I've just started to do this as part of that. Why? Because for my father, being a black man in colour with curled hair in a remote town, speaking language was not going to get his children, in his eyes, a job. It only brought racism, so he didn't teach us language. How beautiful that change, that his grandchildren are being taught language. Because sometimes we have to ride this with those generations as well and show them that we understand what they're afraid of, and we know that, and we're going to carry that with us, but we are going to still fulfil our dreams and our destinies. Hopefully that.
Oh, lots of questions. Yeah, well, we can't. We want to hear your questions.
What role does increasing housing affordability, tax reform, and economic redistribution, what role does that play in creating an environment for the proactive to succeed?
Absolutely, right. I think one of the things is it creates an environment for the country to go, oh, there's a return on this. There's a social return, there's an impact, there's a economic dividend. And so we do have to, the different layers. I think it was your question to Mr. King. What are the different layers that you do? So you've got to put this product in an argument for that. But it doesn't limit its ability. Actually, what it does, it just shows that the investment now will be very minimal in 21 years. And so you do have to target kind of where that is, affordability, all these things. Without the opportunity, without guaranteed opportunity, if we take that, we will stay in status quo. It will get worse. We'll see more of our people in poverty, which is why we're proposing the PRO Act to get some of that guarantee for those that are able to step up and to be able to lean into those things.
Yes. We'll have time for a couple more questions. Yep.
Thank you. That was a beautiful speech. I wanted to ask, many people here today are the first generations of their family going into further education, and we may not have had that safety net that a lot of people need to get through education. And so with the position we're in now, how can we best support the next generation going through, and what skills and opportunities can we provide to the next generation of young people that we may not have had to best get them through and to see them off in life?
Beautiful. I think the fact that you asked that question always makes me feel like you guys have got us in good stead, right? Because it's that point. You have to be visible. People have to see you as role models to go, oh, Fiona did it, somebody else did it, it's possible. We talk about in Cape York, and part of any of our scholarship is this give back. We don't pretend, we don't wait to think, oh, you are. If you're going to take up an opportunity we offer, there's an expectation that you are going to look behind you for the next generation and you're going to bring them along with you, right? And so I'd say you've got to look for those opportunities. Don't wait for them. Mentor, reach out. Don't think, oh, I'm just here, I'm not that. No, there's a high school, a primary school, there's someone else behind you that's just reaching out for your hand. Right? So you've got to know when to put your hand out, and that is because you also need to know that you're okay to put that hand out right now, because it might be in a year's time that you can, behind you, to bring others along. But it is extremely important. We'll get nowhere in humanity and society, and I think Mr. King talked about that brilliantly this morning. The biggest for that generation. My eldest daughter just finished last year. She's the first in our family. A dual degree of law and the arts, right? She is now practicing. She's a lawyer that started as of Monday, literally in the Cairns. in the Cairns DPP, and she is struggling to do her gift. Why? Because the injustice of our people on that side. So what supports do I have to wrap around her is the strength of resilience and to keep going, because we can't afford for you amazing, beautiful people to get trapped by the trauma that exists and is real in our country either. And so kind of balancing that.
Awesome. Last question? No?
Yeah.
Was you?
Hi, I'm Emma. Oh God, that's a lot of people. Anyways, I'm not going to turn around. I have a bit of a contradiction for you, not necessarily like you're wrong, because I think that that's beautiful, but as someone like even yourself, and it goes off what Ali said before, you started in the trades, you did drop out of school, and look at where you are now, if you know what I mean. So it's a bit like, I guess my question is, how do you support people in Cape York that do want to drop out? Not because they can't do it, but because they believe that that's something they want to do, or that's they don't want to stay in school because it's not the environment, or I don't know, they just want to go earn money.
Beautiful question, because in Keynotes you don't get to set context, right? There has to be many pathways that are built. And so when we're talking about opportunity expectations, we are talking about the highest expectations for all people in choice. And so I'm used to the first part of your question, because I've got to convince my kids why dropping out of year 10 does not make you successful. We're in a different climate, and it's taken me like 40 years of work to earn a decent income. My daughter on Monday started on a salary that I started earning only probably 10, 15 years ago. That's the difference. And so to this question here, right, so what we're trying to break here is that opportunity, that wealth, and really get as many of our mob there as possible, but not everyone. So it's so key. So we absolutely have to have quality structured pathways, trades, work experience. How do you bridge those things? And it's the bridging paths that have to be created for that. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Wasn't that amazing? Can we give her a round of applause? Amazing. Before you go, don't go so quickly. We just have a token of appreciation for you. I was given explicit instructions. It's a gift for you.
Do you want me to take it?
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was an amazing speech. Thank you. Amazing. So, before we go on to our next speaker, I would like to invite Gary and Heather up the front. They're going to do a little icebreaker. Gary and Heather? Well, I guess Gary and Heather are probably doing their own icebreaker. Awesome. So what I'd like you guys to do is just to get up and have a little stretch. Move your arms a little bit. Wave, move your hips.